Billionaire abandoned wife. 15 years later, he sees her at the airport with a boy who looks just like him. San Francisco International Airport hummed with the restless energy of delayed travelers. The thick fog outside pressed against the vast windows, turning the runways into blurred lines of light. Liam Hawthorne stood near Gate 36, glancing at the departure board flickering with red delayed notices. Clad in a tailored suit that spoke of success, he exuded an air of controlled impatience. He checked his watch and sighed. Time was money, and he hated wasting either. At 44, Liam was a titan of the tech industry, a self-made mogul celebrated for his groundbreaking innovations and criticized for his ruthless business tactics. His phone buzzed incessantly with emails and updates, but for once, he ignored them. Something in the foggy stillness unsettled him. A burst of laughter drew his attention. Turning, he spotted a woman and a teenage boy weaving through the crowd. The woman's chestnut hair and graceful stride were strikingly familiar. His heart skipped a beat. Isabel Martin. It had been years, but he would recognize her anywhere. Beside her walked a boy about 16, tall and lean with tousled dark hair. Liam's breath caught as he noticed the boy's profile, the sharp jawline, the piercing eyes. It was like looking into a mirror of his younger self. He took a hesitant step forward. "Isabel?" he called softly. She didn't hear him over the airport's din. Before he could navigate through the throng of passengers, they disappeared into the bustling corridor leading to the terminals. Frustration and a strange sense of longing welled up inside him. Across the terminal, Isabel felt a chill run down her spine. "Mom, you okay?" Owen asked, noticing her sudden pause. She forced a smile. "Yes, just thought I saw someone I knew." "Well, our flight's delayed again. Want to grab a snack?" he suggested. "Sure, let's do that," she replied, eager to change the subject. As they moved toward the cafe, Isabel's mind raced. Had she really seen Liam? After all these years, she had worked hard to build a life that kept Owen safe from the complications of her past. The possibility of Liam's reappearance filled her with both anxiety and a faint echo of old emotions. Liam stood rooted to the spot, his mind flooded with memories. Late-night walks under the city lights, whispered dreams of a future together. It all came rushing back. He remembered the ambition that had driven them apart, the opportunity he couldn't refuse, and the cold goodbye that followed. Shaking off the reverie, he pulled out his phone and scrolled to a number he hadn't dialed in years. After a few rings, a voice answered, "Derek Thompson speaking." "Derek, it's Liam Hawthorne." A pause. "Well, this is a surprise." "I need a favor," Liam said, his voice tinged with urgency. "I think I just saw Isabel, and she was with a boy." Derek sighed. "Liam, it's been over a decade. What's this about?" "I need to find out if the boy is my son." On the other side of the terminal, Isabel and Owen sat at a small table. "Excited about the trip?" she asked, stirring her tea. "Yeah, Uncle Mike always has something cool planned," Owen replied, but his eyes searched her face. "You sure everything's all right?" She reached over to squeeze his hand. Just pre-flight jitters, nothing to worry about. But deep down, she knew that if Liam had spotted them, the carefully balanced life she had constructed could be at risk. Her protective instincts kicked in. She couldn't let the past undo everything she had fought for. Back near Gate 36, Liam ended the call with Derek. A mix of hope and apprehension stirred within him. The empire he had built suddenly felt less significant compared to the possibility of a son he never knew. Staring into the fog-covered tarmac, he whispered to himself, "What have I missed?" The next day, Liam entered the quaint cafe, the aroma of fresh coffee mingling with nostalgia. Derek sat at a corner table, a folder in front of him. "You look the same," Liam offered as he sat down. "And you look like a man who finally found something he couldn't buy," Derek replied. Liam ignored the jab. "Did you find anything?" Derek leaned back. "Isabel never left San Francisco. She's been here all along, raising her son, your son most likely, on her own." A mix of guilt and excitement surged within Liam. "So he is mine?" "All signs point to it," Derek confirmed. "His name is Owen Martin, top of his class, into robotics and soccer. Isabel's done well for herself, running a nonprofit for mental health awareness." Liam absorbed the information. "Why didn't she tell me?" "You walked away, remember?" Derek's tone was sharp. "Left without a word. She might have thought you weren't interested." People change, Liam said defensively. I want to make things right. Derek studied him. Be careful, Liam. Barging into their lives could do more harm than good. I have to try, Liam insisted. There's more, Derek added, his expression serious. Isabel is involved with someone, Dr. Jonas Bennett. He's been a father figure to Owen. Liam felt a pang of jealousy. I see. Look, Derek said, leaning forward. I get that you're curious, maybe even regretful, but you need to consider the impact on them. They've built a life without you. I just want to know my son, Liam replied softly. Derek sighed. If you're set on this, approach with caution and maybe think about why you're doing it. Liam nodded, determination in his eyes. Thank you, Derek. I appreciate your help. As he left the cafe, Liam's mind raced with possibilities. The revelation that Owen was likely his son ignited a desire he hadn't felt before, a need to connect, to fill the void he hadn't realized was there. But Derek's warning echoed in his ears. Reopening old wounds could have consequences. He pulled out his phone and looked at a recent news article featuring Isabel's nonprofit. Her smile was radiant, her eyes full of purpose. Maybe I've been chasing the wrong things all along, he mused. That evening, back in his penthouse overlooking the city, Liam stood by the window, the skyline glittering before him. Success had brought him everything he'd thought he wanted, but now it all felt hollow. He made a decision. He would find a way to meet Owen, to be part of his life, even if it meant confronting the mistakes of his past. Meanwhile, Derek watched Liam exit the cafe from the window. He shook his head, a mix of concern and resignation settling over him. Some things never change, he muttered, hoping that his old friend wouldn't cause more trouble than he intended. Unbeknownst to both men, the threads of their intertwined pasts were about to pull them into a complex web of emotions, secrets, and unforeseen consequences. Liam sat in his sleek, minimalist office overlooking the San Francisco skyline. The encounter with Isabel and the boy who might be his son consumed his thoughts. He closed his laptop, unable to focus on the endless emails demanding his attention. Instead, memories he had long buried began to surface. A decade ago, the university was a hub of innovation and ambition. Liam and Isabel were the golden couple. He, a tech prodigy with big dreams, and she, a passionate advocate for mental health awareness. They spent countless nights discussing their future, filled with hope and promise. One evening, at a networking event, Liam was introduced to Sabrina Hayes, a sharp-eyed investor known for spotting untapped potential. She extended her hand with a confident smile. Liam Hawthorne, I've heard impressive things about your work. Thank you, Liam replied, intrigued by her reputation. Your latest project could revolutionize the industry, Sabrina said, but it needs the right backing and the right focus. Over the following weeks, Sabrina courted Liam professionally, inviting him to exclusive events and introducing him to powerful figures in the tech world. One afternoon, they met at a high-rise office overlooking the city. Liam, Sabrina began, you're on the cusp of something extraordinary, but to truly succeed, you need to eliminate distractions. He frowned slightly. What do you mean? She leaned in. Personal ties can hold you back. Relationships, commitments, they divert your energy from what's essential. He thought of Isabel. I have someone who supports me. Does she share your vision? Sabrina challenged. Is she prepared for the sacrifices necessary for greatness? Doubt flickered in Liam's mind. Sabrina sensed it and pressed on. With my resources and your talent, we can change the world, but only if you're fully committed. Back in the present, Liam rubbed his temples, the weight of past decisions heavy upon him. He picked up his phone and called Derek. Derek, I need more information, he said when his friend answered. What now? Derek replied cautiously. Isabel, after I left, was there someone else? Liam asked. Derek hesitated. Why are you digging into this? Because I need to know if Owen is my son, Liam confessed. Derek sighed. There were rumors. Isabel was seen with Dr. Jonas Bennett not long after you left. They became close. Liam's heart sank. So Owen might not be mine? It's possible, Derek admitted. Jonas has been a father figure to him. Liam felt a mix of jealousy and despair. I have to find out the truth. Be careful, Liam, Derek warned. You might not like what you uncover. Meanwhile, Isabel sat at her kitchen table, finalizing plans for an upcoming charity event for her nonprofit organization. The living room was adorned with Owen's trophies and certificates, a testament to the life she had built for them. Owen walked in, backpack slung over his shoulder. "Hey, Mom." "Hi, sweetheart. How was school?" she asked, her eyes lighting up. "Great. Robotics Club is gearing up for the regional competition," he said enthusiastically. "That's wonderful," she replied, pride evident in her voice. After Liam's abrupt departure years ago, Isabel had been devastated. Discovering her pregnancy shortly after was both a shock and a blessing. Determined not to let circumstances define her, she channeled her energy into her advocacy work, becoming a respected leader in the community. Her thoughts drifted to Jonas, whose kindness had helped heal her wounds. He had been there since Owen was a toddler, offering support without expectation. Yet, the recent sighting of Liam unsettled her. The past she had worked so hard to move beyond was resurfacing. Back at his office, Liam stared out the window. The city that once symbolized his success now felt empty. The possibility that Owen might not be his son gnawed at him, but the need for answers overpowered his fears. He dialed Derek again. "I need to meet with Isabel," he said firmly. "Are you sure that's wise?" Derek questioned. "I have to know," Liam insisted. "Can you arrange it?" Derek paused before replying. "I'll see what I can do, but tread lightly. She's been through enough." Liam hung up, his resolve hardened. Whether Owen was his son or not, he owed it to himself and to Isabel to confront the past. That evening, Isabel received a message from Derek requesting a meeting. Sensing the underlying reason, she felt a mix of anxiety and anger. She had protected Owen from this for so long. As she prepared for the inevitable confrontation, she looked at a photo of Owen and Jonas laughing together. "I've built a good life for us," she whispered. "I won't let Liam disrupt that." Liam adjusted his tie as he entered the grand hall of the community center, blending seamlessly with the crowd of philanthropists and advocates. Banners adorned the walls, proclaiming "Mind Matters," breaking the silence on mental health. He scanned the room until his gaze settled on Isabel, standing poised near the stage, her smile warm as she greeted attendees. His heart quickened. It had been years since he'd seen her, and she seemed even more radiant than he remembered. Taking a seat near the front, he listened as the lights dimmed and Isabel approached the podium. "Thank you all for joining us tonight," she began, her voice confident yet gentle. "Together, we can shatter the stigma surrounding mental health." As she spoke, Liam couldn't help but admire her passion. But when her eyes swept the audience and briefly locked with his, a flicker of recognition crossed her face. She hesitated, just for a moment, before continuing her speech with practiced composure. The applause was thunderous when she finished. Isabel stepped down to mingle with the crowd, but Liam noticed the subtle tension in her shoulders. Seizing the moment, he approached her. "Isabel," he said softly. She turned, her expression shifting from professional cordiality to guarded surprise. "Liam, this is unexpected. I was moved by your presentation," he replied. "Your work is inspiring." "Thank you," she said curtly. "I wasn't aware you were interested in mental health advocacy." "There's a lot you don't know about me now," he admitted. Her eyes narrowed slightly. "Excuse me, I need to attend to other guests." "Wait," he implored. "Could we talk privately? Just for a few minutes." She glanced around before nodding reluctantly. "Fine, follow me." They weaved through the crowd to a quiet corridor backstage. The distant hum of the event faded as the door closed behind them. "Why are you here, Liam?" Isabel demanded, her tone edged with irritation. He met her gaze. "I needed to see you, to talk about the boy I saw you with at the airport." Her expression remained stoic. "My personal life is none of your concern." "Is he my son?" Liam asked directly. She hesitated, a flash of emotion breaking through her composure. "You have no right to ask me that." "I think I do," he countered. "If there's a chance he's mine, I deserve to know." She crossed her arms defensively. You walked away without looking back. Why the sudden interest now? "Because I made a mistake," he confessed. "Leaving you was the biggest mistake of my life." She scoffed softly. "That's convenient." "Please, Isabel," he said earnestly. "Just tell me the truth." She sighed, her eyes softening momentarily before hardening again. "Owen has a father. Jonas has been there for him every step of the way." "That's not an answer," Liam pressed. "Am I his biological father?" "Biology isn't everything," she retorted. Being a father is about more than shared DNA. Don't I at least have the right to know? He pleaded. She looked away. Knowing won't change anything. It changes everything for me, he insisted. I want to be part of his life. Her gaze snapped back to him, fierce and protective. You don't get to disrupt his world because of your guilt. It's not guilt, he argued. It's responsibility, maybe even love. Love? She echoed bitterly. You don't know him. I'd like the chance to, he said softly. She shook her head. I won't let you hurt him like you hurt me. Isabel, I'm not that man anymore. People don't change that easily, she replied, and I won't risk Owen's happiness on the hope that you have. He stepped closer. What can I do to prove it? Nothing, she stated firmly. Leave us alone. A heavy silence settled between them. Finally, she turned to leave. If you won't tell me, I'll find out another way, Liam called after her. She paused but didn't look back. Be careful what you dig up, Liam. Some truths are better left buried. With that, she walked away, her heels clicking decisively against the tiled floor. Liam stood alone, frustration and determination warring within him. Isabel's evasiveness only fueled his resolve to uncover the truth. Exiting the building, he dialed Derek's number. Derek here, came the brisk answer. She won't confirm it, Liam said without preamble. I need to know for sure. Liam, maybe you should let this go, Derek cautioned. Sometimes not knowing is better. I can't accept that, he replied. There must be a way to get a paternity test. Without her cooperation, it's complicated. Then I'll approach Owen directly, Liam decided. Approach a teenager and tell him you might be his father? Derek sounded alarmed. That's reckless. Do you have a better idea? Liam challenged. A pause. I'll see what I can find out discreetly, but promise me you won't do anything rash. I just want the truth, Liam said quietly. All right, Derek conceded. I'll be in touch. Liam ended the call, the city's cool night air failing to calm his restless mind. He looked up at the stars obscured by city lights, feeling the weight of his choices pressing down on him. Back inside, Isabel leaned against a wall, closing her eyes to steady herself. Confronting Liam had stirred emotions she'd long suppressed. Everything okay? Jonas's voice brought her back. He approached, concern etched on his face. She managed a weak smile. Just a bit overwhelmed. He offered his hand. Let's go home. She took it gratefully. Yes, let's. As they left, Isabel couldn't shake the feeling that the delicate balance of her life was about to unravel. Sabrina Hayes sat in her expansive corner office, the skyline of San Francisco stretching out before her. The sun was setting, casting a golden hue over the city, a city she felt she controlled from behind her polished mahogany desk. Yet, recently, something had shifted. Liam Hawthorne, her business partner and protege, seemed distant, his focus wavering during crucial meetings. She tapped her manicured nails on a stack of reports, her sharp mind piecing together the puzzle. He's distracted, she mused aloud, and distractions in our line of work are liabilities. Reaching for her phone, she dialed a secure number. Elena Rodriguez, a voice answered on the other end. Elena, it's Sabrina. I have a job for you, Sabrina said, her tone leaving no room for refusal. Elena, a renowned cybersecurity expert and hacker, replied calmly, I'm listening. I need you to investigate Liam Hawthorne, discreetly, find out what's pulling his attention away from the company. There was a brief pause before Elena responded. Consider it done. As she ended the call, Sabrina leaned back, memories of the past surfacing unbidden. Isabel Martin, her college rival and the woman who once stood between her and Liam. Sabrina had always resented Isabel's influence over him. Back then, she had managed to convince Liam to prioritize his ambitions over his personal life, effectively removing Isabel from the equation. Now, it seemed, Isabel was reappearing, threatening to undo years of hard work. No one undermines me, Sabrina whispered to herself, her eyes hardening. The thought of losing control over Liam, and by extension the company, was unacceptable. A few days later, Elena reported back. I've found something, she said, her voice steady over the encrypted line. Liam has been in contact with Isabel Martin. They've met recently, and he's shown interest in a teenage boy who is likely his son. Sabrina's jaw tightened. So, she kept the child a secret all these years and now decides to reinsert herself into his life? It appears so, Elena confirmed. There's more. Isabel has a history of mental health issues, Records indicate she sought treatment for depression after Liam left. A slow smile spread across Sabrina's face. Interesting. That could be useful. What do you want me to do? Elena asked. Gather all the information you can. I want every detail of Isabel's past struggles. Also, start monitoring the company board members' communications. It's time to remind them where their loyalties should lie. Elena hesitated. Sabrina, leaking personal mental health information is ethically questionable. Sabrina's tone turned icy. I'm not paying you for ethical judgments. Just do as I ask. Understood, Elena replied reluctantly. Sabrina ended the call and gazed out the window. The city lights were flickering on, one by one. Isabel thought she could just walk back into his life, she muttered. I won't let that happen. Over the next week, subtle changes began within the company. Board members received anonymous tips questioning Liam's commitment to the firm. Whispered rumors suggested he was considering stepping down, possibly influenced by personal matters. At a board meeting, Sabrina presented a proposal for a new strategic direction. With the rapidly changing market, we need decisive leadership, she asserted, her eyes scanning the room. I'm prepared to take on a more prominent role to ensure our continued success. One board member frowned. And what about Liam? He's been instrumental in our growth. Sabrina offered a conciliatory smile. Of course, Liam's contributions are invaluable. However, he's been preoccupied lately. It might be prudent for us to consider a contingency plan. Meanwhile, Elena had compiled a dossier on Isabel. Late one night, Sabrina reviewed the documents, her gaze lingering on medical records and personal correspondence. The more she read, the more her resolve hardened. She crafted an anonymous email to a well-known gossip columnist, attaching select pieces of Isabel's history. The subject line read, Behind the scenes of tech mogul Liam Hawthorne's personal life. Sitting back, she felt a sense of satisfaction. Let's see how you handle the spotlight, Isabel, she said softly, and how you deal with your precious son's newfound notoriety. Sabrina knew that by discrediting Isabel, she could sever the renewed connection between her and Liam. Additionally, casting doubt on Liam's stability would position herself as the logical choice to lead the company without opposition. As the first whispers of scandal began to surface in media circles, Sabrina prepared for the fallout, confident that she could control the narrative to her advantage. But unbeknownst to her, forces were aligning that even she hadn't anticipated, forces that would challenge her machinations and ultimately test the very foundations of the empire she sought to command. Liam stood outside Bayview High School, watching students stream out of the building toward buses and waiting cars. He felt a pang of nervousness he hadn't experienced in years. Adjusting his jacket, he walked toward the main entrance, determined to connect with Owen in a way that wouldn't raise suspicions. Inside, he found the coordinator of the school's technology club. Mr. Hawthorne, it's an honor to meet you, the coordinator said, shaking his hand vigorously. Your contributions to the tech industry are remarkable. Thank you, Liam replied modestly. I heard your club is doing some exciting work with robotics, and I'd love to volunteer as a mentor if you'll have me. We'd be thrilled, the coordinator exclaimed. Our students could learn so much from you. Later that afternoon, Liam entered the tech lab where a dozen students were huddled over various projects. His eyes quickly found Owen, who was meticulously assembling a circuit board. Taking a deep breath, he approached the table. Mind if I join you? Liam asked. Owen looked up, a bit surprised. Sure, but only if you're prepared for some complex problem solving, he said with a grin. I think I can manage, Liam replied, matching his smile. They delved into the project, discussing the intricacies of robotics and coding. Liam was impressed by Owen's intellect and creativity. You have a real talent for this, he remarked. Thanks, Owen said. I've been fascinated by robotics since I was a kid. I want to create technology that makes a positive impact on people's lives. That's a noble goal, Liam responded, feeling a swell of pride. As the session continued, they found an easy rapport. Owen shared his aspirations of attending a top engineering school and his ideas for sustainable technology. Unaware of Liam's true identity, he spoke openly, and Liam cherished every moment. When the club meeting ended, Owen began packing up his equipment. Will you be back next week? He asked. Absolutely, Liam assured him. I'm looking forward to seeing how your project progresses. Great, Owen said. Maybe you can give me some tips on optimizing the sensor arrays. Consider it done, Liam replied. That evening, Owen returned home more animated than usual. Mom, guess who volunteered at our tech club today? He exclaimed as he entered the kitchen where Isabel was preparing dinner. Who? Isabel asked, glancing up. Liam Hawthorne, Owen said enthusiastically. He's a genius and he helped me with my robotics project. It was incredible. Isabel froze for a moment, her mind racing. Liam Hawthorne? At your school? She managed to say. Yeah, isn't that amazing? He said he'll be back next week too, Owen continued, oblivious to her distress. That's unexpected, she replied, trying to keep her tone neutral. Are you okay, Mom? Owen asked, noticing her unsettled expression. Yes, I'm fine, she said, forcing a smile. I'm glad you're getting such valuable experience. Later that night, Isabel confided in Jonas. Liam is volunteering at Owen's school, she said quietly. Jonas raised an eyebrow. That's bold of him. I don't know what to do, Isabel admitted. Part of me wants to confront him, but Owen is so excited. I've never seen him this engaged. Maybe it's good for Owen, Jonas suggested gently, as long as Liam doesn't cause any harm. I just worry about where this could lead, she replied. Whatever happens, we'll handle it together, Jonas assured her. In the following weeks, Liam continued to mentor Owen at the tech club. Their collaboration flourished, and they even began working on a project for an upcoming competition. Liam cherished these moments, feeling a connection he'd never experienced before. One afternoon, as they wrapped up, Owen said, talking to you has made me more confident about pursuing my ideas. I really appreciate your guidance. It's my pleasure, Liam replied sincerely. You've got a bright future ahead of you. As Owen left, Liam felt a mix of joy and sadness. He longed to tell Owen the truth, but knew he had to wait for the right moment. At home, Isabel watched Owen enthusiastically discuss his project over dinner. Despite her reservations, she couldn't deny the positive effect Liam was having on their son. She wondered if perhaps it was time to reconsider her stance. But the shadows of the past lingered, and she feared the potential consequences of Liam's re-entry into their lives. Torn between protecting Owen and allowing him to thrive, Isabel faced a dilemma with no easy solution. Owen sat at his desk, the soft glow of his computer screen illuminating his thoughtful expression. He was researching components for the robotics project he and Liam had been working on. Scrolling through an online marketplace, he noticed a recommended seller, Isabel's attic. Curiosity piqued. He clicked the link, leading to a storefront selling vintage items. As he browsed, a thumbnail caught his eye, a photograph of a young couple laughing together. He clicked to enlarge it and felt his heart skip a beat. The woman was unmistakably his mother, Isabel, but the man beside her was none other than Liam Hawthorne. Confusion washed over him. How could his mentor and his mother know each other? Digging deeper, Owen searched for more images and found an old public gallery from a university event. There they were again, Isabel and Liam, side by side, looking every bit like a couple in love. Questions swirled in his mind. Why had neither of them mentioned this connection? A sinking feeling settled in his stomach as a startling possibility emerged. He closed his laptop and headed downstairs, where Isabel and Jonas were preparing dinner. Mom, Jonas, can we talk? He asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Of course, honey, Isabel replied, noting the serious tone. Owen took a deep breath. I found some old photos of you and Liam Hawthorne together. Why didn't you tell me you knew him? Isabel's hands froze mid-motion, and Jonas exchanged a worried glance with her. Owen, it's complicated, she began cautiously. Complicated how? Owen pressed. He's been mentoring me at school, and neither of you thought to mention that you have history? Jonas stepped forward. We wanted to tell you, but the timing never seemed right. Tell me what? Owen demanded, his voice rising. Isabel sighed, her eyes filled with a mix of regret and concern. He's your biological father. The room fell silent except for the ticking of the kitchen clock. Owen stared at them, disbelief etched on his face. Why would you keep that from me? He finally whispered. We thought we were protecting you, Jonas said gently. Liam wasn't part of our lives, and we didn't want to confuse you. Protecting me? Owen echoed, his emotions shifting from shock to anger. You lied to me. All this time, I thought Jonas was my dad. I may not be your father by blood, but I've always loved you as my own, Jonas said earnestly. Owen shook his head, stepping back. How could you keep something so important from me? And Liam, does he know? Isabel nodded slowly. He found out recently. He's been trying to connect with you. That's why he showed up at the tech club, Owen realized aloud. I trusted him, and neither of you thought I deserved the truth? Owen, please understand, Isabel pleaded. I was afraid he'd hurt you like he hurt me. You didn't even give me a chance to decide for myself. Owen's eyes glistened with tears. I don't know who to trust anymore. He turned and bolted toward the front door. Owen, wait, Isabel called after him. Let him go. Jonas advised softly. He needs time. Isabel sank into a chair, her composure unraveling. I've lost him, she whispered. You haven't, Jonas reassured her. He just needs to process this. Meanwhile, Owen wandered through the neighborhood streets, a whirlwind of emotions crashing over him. Betrayal, confusion, anger. The foundations of his identity felt shaken. Pulling out his phone, he scrolled to Liam's number, his finger hovering over the call button. After a moment, he pressed it. Liam Hawthorne speaking, came the familiar voice. It's Owen, he said tersely. Owen, is everything all right? Liam asked, concern evident. No, it's not, Owen replied. I know you're my father. A pause hung between them. I wanted to tell you, Liam said quietly. Why didn't you? Owen challenged. I was trying to find the right moment, Liam explained. I didn't want to overwhelm you. Well, consider me overwhelmed, Owen retorted. Can we meet? Of course, name the place, Liam agreed. Central Park, half an hour, Owen said before ending the call. As he headed to the park, Owen's thoughts were a tangled mess. He wasn't sure what he wanted from this meeting. Answers, perhaps, or maybe just a chance to vent his frustration. Back at home, Isabel watched the door, her heart heavy. I should have told him sooner, she lamented. We made the best decisions we could at the time, Jonas consoled her. He'll come back. Isabel nodded, but uncertainty lingered. I just hope he can forgive us. The lights in the grand ballroom of the West Coast Tech Summit dimmed, signaling the start of the much-anticipated presentation. The room buzzed with excitement, filled with investors, tech enthusiasts, and reporters eager to hear Liam Hawthorne unveil his latest groundbreaking project. He stood backstage, adjusting his tie, trying to shake off the nerves that had plagued him since his confrontation with Owen. Owen had agreed to meet him a few days earlier, and while their conversation had been raw and emotional, it was far from resolved. The weight of that unfinished business pressed heavily on Liam's mind as he prepared to step onto the stage. But today was about more than just family. It was about proving his worth as a visionary in the tech industry once again. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer's voice boomed over the PA system. Please welcome to the stage Liam Hawthorne. The crowd erupted into applause as Liam walked to the podium, his heart pounding. He glanced at the sea of faces before him, his mind racing. As he began to speak, laying out the foundation for his revolutionary new AI system, something strange began happening in the audience. Reporters started receiving notifications on their phones, eyes widening as they read the alerts. Liam hesitated mid-sentence, sensing the shift in energy. He knew something was wrong. Suddenly, the large screen behind him flickered and changed. It wasn't the sleek presentation he had prepared. It was a series of leaked documents, headlines, and personal information splashed across the screen for all to see. The room gasped. The headlines blared. Private emails were displayed, revealing past shady business tactics, deals Liam had long since regretted but had buried under his successes. But worse than that, personal details about his son, Owen, and Isabel's mental health struggles were exposed in brutal, unforgiving language. Liam's blood ran cold as he stood frozen on stage, his mouth dry. He could hear the crowd murmuring, the flashing of cameras intensifying. His carefully constructed world was unraveling in front of everyone. From the back of the room, Sabrina Hayes watched with a cold smile. She had orchestrated this moment perfectly. The distraction Liam had been feeling, the questions about Owen and Isabel's reappearance, all of it had led him to this point, vulnerable and exposed. She was about to seize control of the company without contest. The media frenzy was relentless. Reporters shouted questions. Liam, is this true? Did you know about your son, Owen? What about Isabel's mental health? Are you stepping down? Liam raised a hand, signaling for silence. The crowd quieted, though the tension remained thick in the air. "I won't deny what's been revealed," he said, his voice steady despite the storm inside him. "These documents reflect mistakes I've made, both professionally and personally." He paused, looking around the room. "I won't pretend that I'm proud of my past. I've made decisions driven by ambition and the desire for success, but in doing so, I lost sight of what truly mattered." The audience was silent, hanging on his every word. "I am stepping down as CEO of Hawthorne Industries, effective immediately," Liam announced, his voice stronger now. "I take full responsibility for my actions, and I refuse to let these mistakes affect the future of this company or the people I care about." Gasps filled the room, and a flurry of flashes from cameras blinded him momentarily. He continued, "As part of this decision, I will be donating my shares in the company to the Mind Matters Foundation, the nonprofit founded by Isabel Martin, which focuses on mental health advocacy and support. My legacy, from this point forward, will be aligned with a cause that reflects the importance of compassion and the well-being of others." The murmurs in the room grew louder, but they had shifted in tone. What began as scandal was now tinged with a note of respect. Liam had chosen to make his public fall a step toward redemption. Sabrina's smile faltered. This wasn't the collapse she had envisioned. Liam, even in his humiliation, had turned the narrative in his favor. As Liam left the stage, the weight of what had just happened began to settle on his shoulders. His career as a tech giant had crumbled before his eyes, but for the first time in years, he felt a strange sense of clarity. Backstage, his phone buzzed with a text from Owen. "I saw what you did today. Can we talk?" Liam smiled faintly, knowing that while the road ahead would be difficult, it might also offer the one thing he had been searching for all along: redemption, not in business, but with his family. After the chaos of the tech conference, Liam retreated into himself, reflecting on the choices that led to his public downfall. Meanwhile, Derek Thompson, who had once been hesitant to help Liam, found himself embroiled in a moral dilemma. As a private investigator, Derek had access to a mountain of information, and in his research for Liam, he uncovered more than he had expected: evidence of Sabrina's illegal activities. Derek sat in his dimly lit office, a file of damning documents spread before him. Sabrina had gone too far, manipulating not only the board, but also engaging in corporate espionage, embezzlement, and even hacking into private data to discredit Isabel and Liam. Derek knew that turning these documents over to the authorities would be dangerous, but he couldn't stand by and watch any longer. Sabrina had destroyed enough lives. With a resigned sigh, he picked up the phone and dialed the number for a trusted contact at the federal authorities. "I've got something big," he said grimly. "And it's time to take Sabrina Hayes down." A week later, news of Sabrina's arrest made headlines. Liam saw the reports flood in but felt little satisfaction. Sabrina's downfall was inevitable, but it didn't erase the hurt she had caused. What mattered more to him now was fixing the relationships he had left behind. Liam met Derek for coffee at a quiet cafe downtown. The air between them felt different, a mixture of old camaraderie and unresolved tension. "I heard about Sabrina," Liam said, stirring his coffee. Derek nodded. "She made her bed. I just gave the authorities the right tools to expose her." Liam looked at him with genuine appreciation. "You didn't have to do that." Derek shrugged. "Maybe not, but it felt like the right thing to do." They sat in silence for a moment before Liam spoke again. "I'm sorry for how things ended between us back in the day. I should have listened to you when you tried to warn me about Sabrina." Derek gave a small smile. "We all make mistakes, Liam. What matters is what we do to fix them." The two men nodded at each other, an unspoken agreement of reconciliation passing between them. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Later that evening, Owen stood in front of Liam's door. He had been wrestling with his emotions for weeks now, and after what happened at the tech conference, he knew it was time to confront his father. Liam opened the door, surprised to see Owen there, but he quickly stepped aside to let him in. Owen didn't waste time. "Why did you leave us? Why weren't you there for me?" Liam's shoulders sagged, and he sat down on the couch, motioning for Owen to join him. "I was selfish," he admitted. I thought I was chasing success, but really, I was running away from responsibilities I wasn't ready for. And that's on me, not you." Owen's eyes filled with a mix of anger and sadness. "You missed so much." "I know," Liam said, his voice thick with regret. "And I'm sorry, more than you can imagine. I can't change the past, but I'm here now, and I want to be part of your life if you'll let me." There was a long pause before Owen finally nodded. "I think we can figure it out." At home, Jonas wrestled with his own insecurities. Seeing Liam and Owen's bond grow made him fear his place in their lives was diminishing. Isabel sensed his unease one evening as they sat together in the living room. "You're still his father, Jonas," she reassured him, taking his hand. "Biology doesn't change the fact that you've been there for Owen every step of the way. He loves you." Jonas gave a small nod, but worry lingered in his eyes. "I just don't want to lose him." "You won't," Isabel promised. "This is complicated, but we'll navigate it together." In the weeks that followed, the media narrative around Liam began to shift. Instead of being the disgraced CEO, Liam was portrayed as a man seeking redemption, someone who had fallen but was trying to rise again. His decision to step down and donate his shares to Isabel's nonprofit garnered widespread support, and soon the public rallied behind him. One bright Saturday morning, Liam found himself at Owen's robotics competition, watching from the stands as Owen presented a project he had poured his heart into. Liam spotted Isabel and Jonas sitting nearby, a quiet reminder of how much had changed and how much healing was still to be done. When Owen's name was called for the final round, Liam felt a surge of pride. As Owen stood on stage, he glanced toward Liam, giving a small nod. It wasn't much, but it was a gesture of acknowledgement, of acceptance. After the competition, the four of them, Liam, Isabel, Jonas, and Owen, gathered at a local restaurant. The tension that once hung over their interactions was still there, but it was softer now, less painful, replaced by a sense of tentative hope. Over dinner, they shared stories and laughter, with Jonas and Owen trading jokes about their last fishing trip. Liam chimed in with a few tech anecdotes, easing into the rhythm of their conversation. For the first time in years, they felt like a family, albeit a complicated one. As the meal wound down, Owen looked across the table at his parents, his father, and his stepfather. "I'm glad we're doing this," he said simply. Liam smiled, his heart full. "So am I." The evening ended not with grand gestures or dramatic declarations, but with a shared understanding that while the road ahead wouldn't be easy, they were committed to traveling it together. And as they walked out of the restaurant, with the city lights twinkling around them, it was clear that while their future was uncertain, it was filled with possibility, and perhaps, just perhaps, the chance to heal and move forward as a family.